Welcome back to the channel, everyone. There's not much left on the pallet anymore, but all this goes on there, all these red parts, and all this stuff goes on there too, and then some. Let's get going on it. I want to get this, as much of this put together as I can. Gotta get that heavy thing up on there. But before I can do that, it's probably best to get this part on. So I got the original shims that came off this axle. I'm gonna put one on what's gonna be the top and the rest on the bottom. I don't know if that's right or not, but that's the way the other axles look that I have, or as close as I can tell with the grease and whatnot. And it's been so long since this came apart, it's hard to remember. And this is kind of machined here, so figured that needs more. And this gets retained with a roll pin. I'm going to go ahead and double roll pin it. There, that shouldn't go too far. A transmission jack that is just like this but for transmissions would be pretty nice in this situation, I think. I'm just gonna have to make the best out of this new pin. This new pin is a international part number 531240R1. That goes in here. I'm gonna try to get this pin in. Just gonna squirt a little bit of oil in here. And a little bit on the shaft. Then you want to get this hole lined up with the hole here. This is actually a really snug fit in the axle side. And there we go, it was just a little bit out of alignment. Now we can put our new pin in. That's IH part number 28431R1. And we can put our cotter pin in. Install our greaser. Give it a little shot. And on the back side we got our ball socket. I'm just going to put a little bit of grease on here. There's no way to grease it later. I don't know if there's supposed to be any grease, but I would think it wouldn't hurt too much to have just a little bit on there. And then we got our shims, because as this wears, you shim it differently. And our cap. Now this is going to be different than your normal 1086, 66, whatever, because these are bolts in here. Normally it wouldn't be bolts with nuts on. They'd be threaded up into the casting, but this part has the threads all wallered out. This is the way this tractor came. So it's going to go back together like this. Got some new pins for this. They are part number 650247R1. I have our new spindle kit here, spindle bushing kit. This is part number 358958R2 it looks like, or a 104-350. It's got some seals, some bushings. I already kind of looked at it with grubby hands. This does have a grease hole in here, and there's grease grooves in here, but they don't line up with this one. I'm gonna put it so these slots are facing downwards or towards the grease zerk. That way the grease has a chance of slipping up in here. because this groove up here is pretty much just a round. So hopefully some will force up into there. And just for the fun of it, I'll kind of line that up with the hole. This is a tool I made out of an axle shaft from a vehicle. And there we are. Now you can just flip her over and start over on this side. I don't know if you guys remember how much of a struggle it was getting these knees out of here. Oh, that was no fun. If you want to see that, click up here. I'm going to do the same thing with this bushing. I'm going to put the slots so they face towards the grease zerk. Hey, Mac. It's going to get noisy here. Then we got our thrust bearing. And then I believe these seals go in like that. Now we can slip a spindle in and flip her over, do the other side here. There's a few parts that still need to get painted and whatnot, but it's gonna keep on going together. My buddy can touch that stuff up later. Still moves, and that's good and tight. Bend that lock tab up. We got our wheel bearing kit here for Farmland International. Their part number is 100856. And I believe this fits quite a few different factory wide fronts and whatnot. You got your seals, cap seal and your wheel bearing seal. And you got your two wheel bearings. I have to drive the races out of here. And this is the wheel bearing seal right here. So I'll start by getting that out of the way. That was left in there for painting reasons, and there's some sand that actually got behind there from blasting these. So get that all cleaned out of there as good as we can. And we can knock out the races. This one ends up getting flush here, so I take one of the big back races, set it on there. And it comes right out. And we got to go do the back one. There's this little groove in here. It helps with the chisel or punch to knock out your races. Make sure we got all the sand out of here. So you don't want any sand in your bearings. Or it'd probably end up like it was before. Except I think the reason that was is because they didn't get it tight. Looks pretty good. This appears to be the harder one, so I'm going to do it first. I just work my way around with the punch. Sometimes they can be a pain to get started. They want to keep tipping like that. Can use a race to kind of help get it going. But once you get in there a little ways, then this is flush or under flush. So then you'll just be hitting the outside of the hub. And then you get to the point where you kind of got to use this again, or a driver. I don't have a driver this big. It's hard to hold that and the punch. Okay, now it's kind of down in there, so it should go a little easier. It should be down in there all the way. With this kind of rear seal, this outer part installs in here, and this inner part installs on the tractor. You don't want this spinning on the shaft. These little rubbers here spin inside that other part. This is a pretty handy little greaser. Just jam it in like that. And it pushes pretty hard, but if you got a vise like this and some random piece of scrap or old wrench, you go and put that like that. Just push a little bit. There you go. Smear some grease in there. And you can jam it in the wheel. I like to grease this seal a little bit too, where it runs here, so it goes together easier. There you go. That feller goes back in there, and then you got this cap. Keep it all clean in there. Just like that. Come on. Got a brand new cap for this side because the other one was damaged. 369-859R1. And our seal that came in the kit. I'm going to squirt a little grease in here. It's empty, so it'll take a little bit. And then I'm going to fill the cavity a little bit in here. Don't have to overdo it with this one. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here that this thing is never, ever going to come back apart. Probably, it'll seize up and won't come back apart, or just will never get touched again. But Peter wants to set this thing for 30-inch rows, and he wanted me to grease the tube up a little bit. Now I can hammer these on home. They're never going to come off again. That's good and tight. Well guys, I got done about what I anticipated getting done tonight. Got that all reassembled pretty much. There's some parts that need painting. Still, like these nuts, the spindles there, the tie rods, and a bunch of stuff on the back end. So I'm gonna, now that I got this assembled, I'm not so afraid to pull the back end apart. There comes in the stands that I bought a year ago. So I would say next up, we'll be pulling some stuff apart on the back. A lot to do yet. Thanks for watching, guys. Join me next time. Take care and God bless. You want to run them?